Hi, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Hi. My name's Kira. I'm one of the medical residents that's working with the internal medicine team tonight.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to come and have the opportunity to have a conversation with you about your health and get to know a little bit more about what's important to you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I read in your chart that you've been admitted a few times this year so far.
It's the third time this year.
Third time. Okay. How's that? How have those experiences been for you?
Not pleasant.
Not pleasant.
No.
Yeah. Right now, what's your understanding of where you're at with your illness?
Well, I have COPD like my father.
Mm-hmm.
It will get worse.
Okay. In terms of talking about your illness, what information about what might be likely to happen in the future would you like from me?
All of it. I'm a straightforward person and like being honest. Like I can deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of it.
Okay. So, in terms of your COPD, you're right in that it's a disease that we can't fix and that is likely to get worse over time. That might result in you becoming more weak or having more difficulties breathing.
Okay.
Um, if your health were to worsen, what are your most important goals?
I think being with my family, my friends, being at home.
Mm-hmm. Being at home.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a big family?
Big enough.
Yeah, big enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you married?
Yes. 50
Okay.
years.
50 years. Wow. Okay, great. Okay. And so it sounds like it's really important for you to be at home.
Yes. My wife and I are like that.
Okay. All right. And what are your biggest fears and worries about your health?
The biggest fear is being on a machine like my dad was.
Yeah.
And then my wife having to pull the plug.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit more about what it was like when you saw your father in hospital?
It was awful. In the ICU, he had tubes, and he was gasping, everything.
Okay. I'm sorry. What abilities are so critical to you that you can't imagine living without them?
Well, I couldn't communicate with my family, my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's critical.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that inability to communicate clearly.
that's a big. That's my number one ability I want to keep. Yeah.
Okay. If you were to become sicker, um, how much are you willing to go through for the possibility of a little bit more time?
How much?
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Yeah, I don't want to give up quite yet.
Okay.
That's the. That give you an idea.
Yeah. What if it meant coming into hospital?
Yes, providing I can go home again quickly.
Okay.
Short visits.
Okay. So short visits are important to you.
Yes, short visits.
Okay. Okay. Um, in terms of your health, one of the things that I'm worried about is that, as we talked about, your disease is likely to get worse.
Yep.
Yeah. And what you've told me is that family and being at home are very important to you, as is the ability to communicate and share with those people that you love around you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Um, there's two things that we need to talk about tonight. The first one is resuscitation. And resuscitation is essentially if your heart were to stop beating, um, we need to have a conversation about what we would do in that situation.
Okay.
Okay. From what you've told me, it sounds like if you had to be on a machine or in an ICU setting for a prolonged period of time, that wouldn't be tolerable to you.
Yes, that's not what I want, but I'm still not ready to give up.
Okay. Okay. So I'm worried that with where your disease is at, that if we resuscitated you, so um, made attempts to start your heart beating by doing CPR or putting a tube down your throat and attaching you to a breathing machine in the ICU, that it might not work, or we might not be able to get you off of that. So with that, my recommendation would be, or what I think I understand from your wishes, is that that's not what you'd want either.
No, it's not.
No. But what I also hear you saying is that you're not ready to give up.
Right.
And I'm not ready to give up on you either. Okay?
Thank you.
Good. So what that means is that do not resuscitate does not mean do not treat. So if you were sick, you came into hospital, like right now, we'd still give you antibiotics if you were okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. And we'd do things like could give you IV fluids if you needed them, or medications to help you in improving your health or your symptoms.
Right.
Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is that if you came in and you were quite sick, maybe we're having some difficulties with breathing like last time you were here,
Yeah.
I do think that it could fit with what you were hoping for, to do a trial of BiPAP again, which was that mask that you had in the ICU.
Yeah.
We consider that a non-invasive means of helping you with breathing, because there's no tube that is there, and you're not attached to a machine. But it does mean that getting some additional support for your breathing. Do you think that that would be something that you would find tolerable?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about in terms of resuscitation or medical treatment?
No, not really. You've explained it.
Okay. How much does your wife and your family know about your priorities and your wishes?
They know all of it, and we've had that discussion
You have. Okay.
outside, yeah,
Okay.
at home.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to document in your chart that if you were to have a cardiac arrest or your heart wasn't beating, that we wouldn't do things like use CPR or electric shocks or attach you to a machine in the ICU.
No.
Okay. But that you are very okay to do a trial of that breathing mask should your breathing become labored or need support, and that we'll continue to give you things like IV antibiotics or fluids and treat you medically as you need it.
I don't want you to give up on me.
Yeah, and we won't do that.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make those documentation in your chart, and then tomorrow, if your wife is here, I'm happy to kind of have that conversation and keep her in the loop as well, because she sounds very important to you.
She is very important to me. Yes,
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.